Oh boy, there's a lot of pet peeves there. I can talk an hour about this one.
If there's one thing that disappoints me, disgusts me, something that I can't stand.
Wow, I'm like feeling like I have no pet peeves about ice fishing much, other than cruddy ice.
The thing that drives me nuts about ice fishermen is trash. I can't stand trash on the lake. I don't like getting out to a body of water that has had people out there and I'm finding anything as simple as sunflower seeds, but cigarette butts and trash just really angers me that people have such disrespect for our resources.
A mess on the ice, I would say. It's probably it's just not good to leave anything that wasn't there, so sunflower seeds, cigarette butts, I don't like that. It's pristine. Leave it like it was.
The trash for sure is a big pet peeve because they leave garbage on the ice. I mean, people leave garbage everywhere, all summer, all winter. The fact that it's piles on the ice is kind of gross. Finding poop out on the ice is kind of gross. Like, at least put it in a bucket or something, poop down a hole, right?
The only gripe I have about ice anglers versus, any other anglers is the amount of trash I find on the ice. We spend every single day out in the ice picking up garbage. There's hardly a day that goes by where me and Pete and some of my other guides aren't out there picking up trash, and it's really sad to see, after a busy weekend where you have tons of fun and people on the ice, and then you see the aftermath of that, or after the snow melts. That's always bothered me, and I think it's getting better, but we need to do a better job as anglers of educating, that's just not cool.
If there's one thing that disappoints me, disgusts me, something that I can't stand, is litter on the ice. It pisses me off. When I can't, in beer cans, they freeze. I can't even pull them out of the ice to clean up the mess after these slobs. And you think, are people in the summertime throwing just as much garbage out, but we don't see it? And that's disappointing. But in the wintertime, you see it, and it's just like, wow, are ice anglers bigger slobs?
My biggest pet peeve would be taking ice for granted just because you see other people out there, especially early ice. Number of stories I've got where I've spudded my way out carefully to a spot I know has 4, 5, 6 inches of ice, and I see somebody from the opposite shore see me and walk out across a bay which is full of weeds, may or may not have the same thickness, and assume everything's fine. Same story a little bit later in the season. I've been in a portable and I've had people drive up to me when I wasn't even comfortable with a four-wheeler on the ice, and I hear them cracking their way out the entire range. So ice safety is a real thing, and if other people aren't careful, they can drag you down too. So you gotta be just careful out there in general.
Frozen guides. I mean, when it's cold and your fingers are numb and you got to break that ice out of the ice guides, especially on the rod tip, that's a pet peeve.
Hole guarding drives me absolutely nuts. When I love my customers, I love all of them, but when we drill out 50 holes in front of someone and they go down and they kneel down and they park, and I'm 50 feet away, and I assume that person is fishing because they're on fish. And I'll point and I'll go, other people go over there by him, and then I wonder why 3 people aren't catching fish. And they're all sitting there, marking no fish, guarding a hole, and that drives me nuts because as fluid as we want to be, they're sending the wrong message. So usually takes a little while to bring people up to speed. If you don't mark anything, move. That's why we got 50 holes.
Probably my biggest pet peeve is when I set up in an area in the dark and get there first and set up my spread, and I have it spread out the way I want it. And Tommy Kashmatka and his buddies decide to set up right inside my spread because that's, I'm a pro. So it's like, look, buddy, I'm not trying to be a jerk. This is a big bay. Trout just swim around. It doesn't matter where you fish here. Just give me a little room, because if I get one on here and you're 6 feet from me, we're bound to get tangled up. But it's public. Well, I get that it's public, but I'm not going to sit next to you and your family at a picnic table in the park when you're having a picnic, am I? Just because it's public. I'm going to go over there and utilize the other picnic table with my family. So that's my biggest pet peeve, is have some consideration, have some etiquette. If I can smell you, if you're 6 feet away, you're a little bit too close, so etiquette, man, You
got to give somebody some space. Really, ice fishermen are a little different breed, and where they like to come in closer to people, and you've got to give some people their space.
following me out to a spot, people I don't know, and all of a sudden they want to drill holes right where I'm, like within about 20 feet of where I'm fishing. Basically, I've had to learn not to say anything back, because all you're doing is getting a confrontation with somebody you don't know, and it's just, we're talking fish here. We're not talking physical or mental battles. It's the only thing. So what I usually do is I pick up my stuff and I move.
I think coming right in and fishing in one of your holes, they couldn't even drill their own holes. I think that's probably the thing that aggravates me the most about most fishermen. But in general, ice fishing is such a friendly sport where you can go out and actually talk to the people that are around there. And if you're in a boat in the summertime and you're close enough to talk to somebody, they're mad.
Many ice fishermen, if you're on a hot hole, they can see you for a distance and they can move right in on top of you. And drill holes right at the best time of day. If you're walleye fishing, a lot of times that might be the last hour before dark, and all of a sudden your flags go up or you start catching some fish, and then a group of guys come in and move in on you. That's probably the biggest pet peeve. And it's a human-based deal. It doesn't happen. There's a lot of people that don't and won't, but it's the occasional person that probably does that to me.
I fish shoulder to shoulder in Chicago along the lakefront, so fishing in crowds and when people pull up on me, that stuff does not bother me at all. There's not many secrets where I'm at, so I don't mind crowds. I think a lot of people are peeved by crowds is what you're getting to. So yeah, I get that. I know. Oh, dude, they're like, look at this tailgater, and the dude's like 100 yards away. When the law says you can't fish within 10 feet of a permanent, right? So if you can't fish within 10 feet of each other, then why are you getting mad that some dude rolled up 10 feet from you? That's the law. He can. Here's my perspective, okay? If this is the break, all right, and I'm in a boat, and there's another boat on the break taking a drift, I'm going to get in line and follow the wind and get my drift on that piece of structure. I know the piece of structure. I know I want to fish it. There's no rule that says I can't take a drift with a dude, as long as I keep a reasonable distance on my drift. So we're all fishing the same area. What's the difference if these are all holes on the same break? You're coming through the same break line. Dudes are just trolling through the area. So if you're here or on a spot and some dude rolls up and he knows the spot too, it's not like it's a secret spot. Dudes, fish it. This is a piece of structure. We're all entitled to fish it. Whether you're in a boat or on a piece of ice, just because you drilled the holes doesn't make a difference to me. Like those holes are going to freeze over and somebody else is going to come drill holes there tomorrow, or just because you beat somebody there one day doesn't mean you're the first person to ever fish that little piece of structure. Get over yourself. I'm catching fish in Chicago that my dad caught back in the 30s. They show up on the same piece of structure. Those fish don't read. They come back to that place like you can set your watch to them. They don't read books. They show up because they're creatures of habit. So that spot is not a secret spot. They show up every year like clockwork. So, you got to fish where the fish are.